more than 100 people vanished, not in a storm, not in a battle, but in complete silence. No bodies, no signs of struggle, no final message, just one word, carved into wood: CROATOAN. In 1587, a group of English settlers arrived at the edge of the known world, a thin strip of land surrounded by dense forest and open ocean, Roanoke Island. They came with families, children, supplies for a new life. This was meant to be England's first permanent colony in America. A bold beginning. Led by Governor John White, they started building from nothing. Timber homes took shape, fires burned at night. Gardens pushed through the soil. For a moment, it worked. But beneath the surface, pressure was building, food was limited, the land was unfamiliar, and relations with nearby native tribes were uneasy. Winter was approaching, and survival was no longer guaranteed. So White made a choice. He would leave and return with supplies. A quick journey, he believed. Weeks, maybe months. He kissed his family goodbye and sailed back to England, but the world he returned to was at war. England was preparing to face the Spanish Armada. Ships were seized, ports were locked down, no one was allowed to leave. White was trapped. What should have been a short trip stretched into years. 1 year, then 2, then 3. Back in Roanoke, no one knew if help was coming, no resupply, no contact, just isolation. When White finally returned in 1590, he expected hardship. Starvation perhaps, but survivors. Instead, he found nothing. The colony was empty, completely abandoned. No voices, no movement, no smoke rising from fires, just silence, pressing in from every direction. White walked through the settlement. What he saw made no sense. Every house had been taken apart, not destroyed, carefully dismantled, as if the people had planned to leave and had time to do it. There were no signs of panic, no broken tools, no scattered belongings, nothing left behind in haste. And most disturbing of all, there were no bodies, not a single trace of death. Then they found it. A wooden post carved with a single word, CROATOAN. Nearby, a tree marked with CROATOAN. It wasn't random. White remembered the agreement. If the colonists left, they would leave a message, a destination. And if they were in danger, they would carve a cross. But there was no cross, no warning, only the word CROATOAN, an island to the south, about 50 miles away, home to a native tribe known as the CROATOANs. For a moment, it felt like an answer. Maybe they moved. Maybe they survived. Maybe they found help. White wanted to follow immediately, to sail south and find them. But the sea had other plans. Dark clouds rolled in, winds howled, waves slammed against the ships. A violent storm forced them back, and just like that, the only clue slipped away. And that's where the trail goes cold. No rescue mission ever returned with answers. No official record explains what happened. Roanoke became something else entirely. The Lost Colony, a name that still echoes through history. Over time, theories began to take shape. The first was the simplest. The settlers moved to CROATOAN Island. They joined the local tribe, blended in, survived. There were later reports of native communities with European features, grey eyes, unfamiliar language, stories of outsiders living among them. It sounded possible, even likely. But no hard evidence ever confirmed it. Then came a darker idea: violence, conflict with nearby tribes, a sudden attack in the night, the colony wiped out, erased, But again, there were no weapons, no remains, no signs of a massacre, nothing to prove it happened. Another theory pointed to starvation, a slow collapse, food gone, disease spreading, people leaving in desperation, trying to find help inland. But that didn't explain the order, the careful dismantling of homes, or why nothing was left behind. And then there are the theories that refuse to stay quiet, the unsettling ones, whispers of something else, stories of strange lights in the forest, of voices in the dark, of people walking into the trees and never coming back. It sounds like myth, but when history falls silent, the imagination fills the gap. More than 4 centuries later, the mystery still isn't solved. Archaeologists continue to search, digging through soil, finding fragments, broken pottery, rust-stained tools, small pieces of a much larger puzzle. Some evidence suggests the settlers moved inland, trying to adapt, trying to survive, but nothing tells the full story, no final scene, no clear ending, and that single word, CROATOAN, still lingers. Was it a destination, a message of hope, or something else entirely? A warning left behind for whoever came next? We may never know, because the Roanoke Colony didn't just vanish from a place, it vanished from history. No final record, no confirmed fate, just absence and silence. And maybe that's what makes it so unsettling, not the disappearance itself, but the emptiness it left behind, because somewhere in that moment, over 100 people made a choice to leave, to stay, or to follow something into the unknown, and whatever happened next was never seen again.